the abroad. A land that's filled with milk and honey, so they said. And believe me, looking from outside, it does look like there is abundance of everything beautiful you can think of. Oh yes, it's indeed a beautiful country, a beautiful city I live in. I fell in love with the country after only a few months of living in London, and it was so unreal. But then it got to a point that I woke up one day, a lot of things suddenly didn't make sense to me. I was in a type of depression I had never experienced in over my 30 years of living. I was so sad. The level of sadness, the level of depression I had in me was I had never felt it. It was too much. I just picked up my phone and I messaged my wife. I think I want to go back to Nigeria. People that know me, and even if you've been on this channel for a bit, you would know my take on Nigeria. So for me to wake up one day and just message my wife that, okay, I was going to leave my wife, leave my son in this country and just go back to Nigeria, because it just shows you how much I was deeply in a state of confusion. It was the first time in my entire life that I felt useless as a man. Now, how did we get to this point? Because if you've watched my videos, you remember I spoke about how I had a soft landing, moving to London. So how did we go from having a beautiful settlement into the country in a very short period of time to being the most miserable I have ever been in my whole life? So, like I said earlier in other videos, I moved to London. I started working almost immediately. Started getting good pay a few months into the job. The whole time, the job, I didn't have a permanent contract. You're literally there working for the company, but then they can let you go anytime. After temporary staff, whatever you want to call it, the pay is more, but you can wake up one Monday and they tell you, oh, your services are no longer needed. So it's tricky. So for my first 6 months, 7, 8 months, 9 months even in London, I was making a lot of money, but I wasn't spending as much. There were a lot of things I wanted to do, but I was scared of committing into, because the way this country is set up, you can't, like Nigeria, you buy your car and just use. It's not for your car. But in this country, it's different. There are things you have to pay yearly, monthly, insurance, and all of that weird stuff. So at the back of my mind, I had this somewhere that this job is not permanent. Anything can happen at any time. So I won't buy a car. I was just saving money, then spending a bit here and there. According to them, when I got the job, being a temporary staff was supposed to last for 6 months. Then after 6 months, I was supposed to get a permanent contract. But that didn't happen. Some people we started together, I literally saw them leave, fired, relieved of their duty, whatever you want to call it. I was still there. I had seen a lot of people leave, but they still retained me for whatever reason. There was a time I can't remember what it's called now, but yeah, I was rewarded for being an outstanding staff. In September, I was like, you know what, I've been here for what now? Going to 10, 11 months, and I'm still working. So I started to have a sense of belonging that, okay, since I've been here for this long, I might just be here for as long as I want. So I started to loosen up a bit. I was out a bit. I mean, financially, like I was spending a bit. Then came December. The whole time I had been working in London, my wife was on maternity leave because we had a baby. So in January, she was to go back to work. First week of January, my son had not turned 2. Now, calm down. This backstory is to lead into the big mess I got myself into, or that the system, this country got me into. So in December, we knew my wife was going back to work in January. I was still working. I was going to work in January. My son had not turned 2. Now, in UK, if your child turns 2, the government gives you, I think, 15 hours per week to put your child in daycare, nursery, whatever you call it. But he had not turned 2. So we had to We had to pay the full amount for him to be in nursery from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m., which was a lot of money. It was about 1,500 or thereabouts plus. So in December, my wife had a Christmas present that they put under the tree. So she had her own list, my son's list, then mine. Obviously, I needed to get myself some stuff. It was a lot of expenses around that period. Then I was in the room one day and I just heard this loud sound. Bah, this was 22nd of December. So the first thing that came to my mind was maybe the tree, maybe my son had pulled down the Christmas tree. Then I came outside and I saw my son standing right next to a 60-inch TV. He had broken the TV. He pulled it down. This was a few days to Christmas. I was in the room I was making a list, checking, okay, how much my wife's present's gonna cost, my son's present gonna cost, this person's present, that person's present. And I came to the living room and we no longer have a TV. So now I was looking like, now we obviously shouldn't go into Christmas without a TV in the house. My wife will not start a new job without clothes to start the job. It didn't feel right to not have gifts under the Christmas tree. Plus, I have the money. So, you know what? Let's just proceed. Why? The second day we went to get a new TV, I got a bigger one. My wife got a game and a few other things, where everyone's presents and all of that. Then we went into January. In December alone, I think I spent about £4,000 or thereabouts. Then we entered January. My wife had started work. We've paid 1,500 plus for the nursery. And that first week of January was the week I lost my job. When I lost that job, like I said in the previous video, I wasn't moved because I had saved a lot of money. Not a lot, but relatively speaking, I had saved a lot of money. So I wasn't moved. Like, I lost my job in January, but I still got paid for the whole of January. So I didn't work for the better part of January, obviously, but I still got paid for the whole month. So in February, I intentionally didn't apply for any jobs because I was tired. I've addressed that in the previous video, the first video on my YouTube channel. March 2, I didn't really apply for jobs. We went on a vacation. Imagine not having a job, then you have the mind, the balls to go on vacation in London. But then I didn't know, it was my first, I'd never lived in London, I'd never lived abroad, I've always lived in Nigeria. It was then I realized that being jobless in Nigeria and being jobless abroad are two worlds apart. It's different. The level of difference is, you can't comprehend it if you have not experienced both. But then I didn't know. I just felt, yes, I worked in a big company for a year plus. I got the job easily. So I just thought, whenever I'm ready to start applying for jobs, now I have job experience and all of that. Whenever I'm ready to start applying for jobs, easy peasy. So February, I didn't apply for jobs. March, I spent money as if. Now, my son turned 2 in March. So it was then he was qualified to get the 15 hours free. But then we had to pay for January, February, and March. That's about 4,500, I think. And in March, in those first 3 months, because that was the first time I didn't work in UK, so I felt relieved, I felt free. So for whatever reason, I was giving out a lot of money in those 3 months. People can just message me from Nigeria, I'd send a ridiculous amount. I just felt like, okay, I needed to exhaust all the money I had with me. Like, it felt like it was only then I would be motivated to start applying for jobs. Like, when you don't have money, your head will open, because I didn't feel like it. So in January, February, in March, ending of March, I started applying for jobs. April, it happened so fast that it felt like I wasn't aware of it. In April, towards the ending of April, I was done financially. I had exhausted all my money, which was weird to me. Like, how? Where did all this money go? And I was now in a place where I had a very small number of people I could message for financial help. because now it felt like everything was now going to fall solely on my wife, which I didn't want. So instantly I started to panic, like, okay, now everything is going to fall on my wife. She's going to have to do all of these things. So for that not to happen, or for at least to be able to fill in for some expenses for the ending of April that was fast approaching, I needed to get funds. Now I'm in a place where I can't, the people I could call for help had reduced drastically, because now you are abroad, everybody believes abroad you are fine, you are sorted. So now you can't call people in Nigeria that, guy, I need funds. Do you understand? So the only person I could call was my mom. The fact that I asked her and I had not done that in years, she was eager to send funds, which she did, but it wasn't still enough. Living in London is ridiculous. It was then I discovered that I'd always known about bank overdraft, but I'd never used it because I was obsessed with building my credit score for what I didn't know why. But for whatever reason, the moment I stepped in the country, I was obsessed with building my credit score. You had to be this, you had to be that. So I was on point with every payment. I wouldn't buy things on finance. I wasn't going to buy a car on finance, even though my bank was offering me £25,000 to finance a car. I had bought everything cash. I got a credit card for the main purpose of building my credit score. So everything was all payment, direct debit, everything was on check. It was no story. Everything went out the exact time they were supposed to go out. It kept going, but I thought, you know what, let me stick to this 2000 for now. I didn't apply for overdraft because I felt I didn't know a lot of things. I felt it was going to affect plus I didn't need it, but now I needed it. So I applied for the overdraft because at that moment I needed a lot of money because the month end was coming and I needed what I needed wasn't £500, it wasn't £1,000, it wasn't £1,500. I set up the overdraft, and what I was saying was £5,000. So you continue spinning till it reaches your limit. Then they tell you how much you can get, how much you can't get. So when I got to 2000, it kept going, but I thought, you know what? Let me stick to this 2000 for now and see how that can get me by till. Because in my mind, I'm like, it shouldn't take long to get a job. I had started applying aggressively. My wife had started applying when she's at work. So I felt I should get something. So I just needed something to clear that ending of April. So I know in May, I'm a little bit, my brother, I woke up in mid-May and I was in a level of depression I had never felt my whole life. Because I woke up, I was jobless. It was the 4th, January, February, March, April. It was the 5th month of being jobless in London. I was in an overdraft of £3,000. Okay, arranged overdraft was £3,000 exhausted. Now, unarranged overdraft, that's the one that affects your credit score, by the way. I can't go deeply into explaining all of these things. But unarranged overdraft is money that should come out of your bank monthly, maybe EDF, electricity. But then when it was time to take that money direct debit, there wasn't money in the account. The bank still lets the money go. Now you owe the bank. Now, arranged overdraft on its own is a type of loan. So let's say I already borrowed £3,000 from the bank. Now, unarranged overdraft went on to about £100. So I think EDF took out some money, insurance, or maybe a few things. So I was in an overdraft of 3,100. My credit card, I exhausted it. I couldn't pay back. So I was in debt of about 3,400 or 500. I won't include the money I was owing my wife because that one too was. So the money I was owing my mom, let's just say I was broke, I was jobless, I was broke, then I was in debt in a country that I legit don't know anyone. It was just me and my family. In Nigeria, our bills are, the main bills in Nigeria, they are yearly. That wherever happens, depending on when it happens, You have time to sort yourself. You have time to think, to hustle, to put one or two together. But in this country, 30 days suddenly started to feel like 25 minutes. Because you clear these bills before you open your eyes and close it, end of the month has come and you don't have a job. So I was running mad. I was mental. It was unbelievably draining for me. How can I not be able to secure a job? How can things be this difficult? My saving grace the whole of that period was a lot of the things I had bought in the past. I was being offered the opportunity to finance them. Like when I went to Apple and I spent about £3,000. Oh, you can pay maybe £200 now, then pay it over the month. There were temptations everywhere. When I went to get a TV, I was offered 2,500 finance, that you can pick everything now and not pay a dime. And you have 12 months. Like you can pick anything around £2,500 worth and not pay a dime. These things were tempting me. But because I mentioned earlier, my job wasn't permanent, I was scared of a lot of things. Thank God. Maybe I would have committed suicide, because nothing makes me uncomfortable like I prefer. In Nigeria, there are times I'll be broke. Yes, I'm broke, but I'm fine. I'm in my house, my rent is paid, and I know the next payment is in like 8 months, so I can be broke for 6 months. I didn't have a child that needed to be spent on every day. I didn't have bills that were coming every month. It got to a point my credit card people were calling me, oh, we might report you to, what's it called? I missed only one payment, because January, February, March, April, I still, like I said, I got the overdraft to do a lot of things. In May, I think I missed just one payment because I'd exhausted I couldn't go back to my mom to ask for more money. I'd exhausted my overdraft. I'd exhausted everything. So I missed that month's payment. I think it was that May for my credit card. After I had taken overdraft, thinking, okay, this will hold me till I secure a job. Now, overdraft finished, all the money exhausted. I'd taken money from my wife. I didn't want to take more because she had bills. She had responsibility to take care of us. I've been taken care of. I wanted to die. It felt, abroad felt like, why did I come here? Like, how come people didn't tell me things can go south so quickly, so fast? Because in Nigeria, before you go from hero to zero, it will take a while. Because, like I said, with bills, it takes a year. And in Nigeria, you can owe, depending on your landlord, let's be honest, you can owe your landlord 6 months, as long as there's a level of understanding. But in this country, the house I stay is managed by real estate agents. It's a company. It's not someone you can tell, oh, please, this. If you've missed 1-2 payments, you're probably out of the place. So it's like abroad, you can go from year to year in like 3 months. It's so fast, because once you miss some certain payments and your income is maybe blocked or it's drastically reduced, it's one thing to have a clear head to try to bring yourself out of depression, out of sadness, then it's another thing to be broke, jobless, and be under intense pressure. That intense pressure is what is missing or for me, is what was missing in Nigeria. I wasn't under pressure for anything. In Nigeria, I had a lot of people that I could call, like, yeah, guy, I need 500k till, I need so amount till. Do you understand? Well, in this country, moving to UK alone, and I'm sure it's like that for a lot of people, it automatically reduces the number of people you can go to for help, because maybe you're coming from Nigeria. Most of the people you know are probably still in Nigeria. So it's like, okay, you are abroad and you are calling we that are in Nigeria for, like, I don't know. It was a lot of psychological, and I don't keep too many friends. I try everything possible to reduce the number of people I can go to for help, just to put myself in a place where I don't, like, to plan myself well financially, so I don't need people as much as I should. This is the abroad. This is it, that if you want to kill me. It was so bad that when I finally started working, and this is how people lose their minds, bro. This is how people become drug addicts, become alcoholics, and all of that, because you're trying to get yourself out of the situation, and there are things that suppressing you back into that situation. Imagine you've been jobless for 4 months and you don't have a wife like I do. You don't have a wife that can help. Like, you're literally there are men like that, they prefer to be the alpha and omega, and you have a child, you have all these responsibilities, and you don't have a job. Suddenly anything can happen. You can lose your jobs, your business can go through a very tough time in some periods in life, and you're trying to come out of this, but these bills keeps coming. Then you miss one, then they are sending you emails that you might be reported to debt collectors, and if you don't pay £60, you might end up paying £300 because this additional. It's mental, it's insane. So these things push people into. That's how you see people get into places that they never come out of, because the time you're supposed to have that clear head to fight back, the system is suppressing you, is putting you under intense pressure. It's like you are sitting on gas cooker, is burning your nyash. It was so bad that when I finally started working and I got my first pay, I went to the bank to do something and I had to put my card. I had forgotten my card's pin. That's how bad it was. My mind I was just be like, it was like I had started running mad small. I had forgotten how things were done, because I wasn't paying for things myself. It was my wife that was doing these things, and just made me feel like, God, I should be the one taking care of this woman. It shouldn't be. I was gone. Like, I was. Please, if you are in Nigeria or in Jamaica if you have people that move abroad for supposedly greener pasture or whatever, don't just assume everything is fine and be sending, because even that period, a lot of people were still asking me for money. Then I'll tell you I'm not able to, then you start giving me attitude. That period, I told someone asked me for money, I told them sorry, I can't help right now, and immediately I saw the profile picture disappear. It's like, you blocked me. Are you mad? Are you so because you assume in your mind that Tayo has money, is rich, and now you come and ask him for money and he says he doesn't have, all of a sudden he's your enemy. Like, you guys should calm down, pipe it down, take it easy. Like, it's not bed of roses, it's not walk in the park everywhere, anywhere. Just as it's hard in Nigeria, it's hard abroad. The system here just works better. I don't know if I'm making sense. The system working is me being able to collect overdrafts after only being in the country for a year, after only banking with that bank for a year, that I didn't have to ridicule myself to start begging people up and down. Do you understand? It's just a system, but the pressure it might be different on that side, different on this side, but there is pressure everywhere, one way or the other. So please, easy. So if you ask me for money in that period and you're looking at me funny, because maybe then I was still going to restaurants to eat, it still looked like my life was still fine. I'm a married man, so things are different for me because I have a partner. Basically, that's what I'm saying. But for me, that period was unimaginably exhausting, depressing, and sad. So please, take it easy on the people abroad. It's not easy. Thank you, and God bless you.